When it comes to buying a house, there are many things that could go wrong. And as somebody who's currently saving for a house myself, I've been doing a lot of research and I've found some shocking mistakes people make when saving for their down payment, and which can seriously derail and threaten your financial security. So, if you want to avoid unnecessary stress, costly errors that can deplete your savings, and buying a home you can't afford, this video is for you. Now, with this being said, I want to share with you where I'm coming from because context matters. Now, my wife and I, a couple of years ago, we got out of $215,000 in debt. Both of us grew up with financial challenges and difficulties. And so our perspective is to maintain financial security and stability as much as possible. Now, that's one of the reasons why my wife and I are conservative with the money moves that we make. And we try to not rush into big decisions. So we want to ensure that whatever decision it is that we make, it doesn't threaten our financial security. So this right here is very important because it's going to help you understand where we are coming from. Okay, so here's a nightmare scenario I want to avoid and that I want you to avoid as well. So let's say that you save for years, you finally hit your down payment goal, you buy the perfect house, you close, but then reality starts hitting hard because you didn't take into account closing costs, maybe any potential immediate repairs that need to be done in the house. Also, maybe you didn't take into account taxes that can drain all of your savings. And all of that can lead you to a financial nightmare, only being left with a few $100s in your savings. Now, this is exactly the situation that we want to avoid. And it all starts with understanding these 7 critical mistakes. All right, so mistake number 1 is draining your savings entirely. Now, the problem with this is that using every dollar you save to cover your down payment and closing costs can leave you with no financial security, no financial cushion. And the truth is that whenever we buy a house, I've heard plenty of stories where people didn't plan to have the cash to cover any other expenses beyond the down payment. So, for example, let's say that your HVAC or your air conditioning, it fails, you need to replace it, or maybe appliances break, or maybe your roof starts leaking somehow. And while some of these expenses could be covered by insurance, how many of those are actually going to come out of your pocket? And this can lead you to being one emergency away from credit card debt. And I don't know about you, but I've come from a place where I had a lot of credit card debt and it's not good, right? So the solution to this situation is keeping 3 to 6 months of expenses and savings after your down payment. So your down payment, the way I personally see it, it starts growing after you've already built your emergency fund. So for example, if your monthly expenses are $4,000 per month, and you're putting down, let's say, $50,000 for the sake of simplicity, you actually need between $62,000 to $74,000 saved before you buy. And to us, and to me, like to us, like my wife and I, but to me, this is a non-negotiable, right? As I mentioned, I want to make a financial decision that doesn't threaten my financial security of my family. So let me know what you think so far in the comments below. Now, the second mistake I'd like to share here with you is ignoring your credit score. Now, the problem here is that not monitoring or improving your credit score before you start house hunting can derail your wealth building because your credit score directly affects your interest rate. So, for example, let's say that you qualify for a $340,000 loan. Now, if your score happens to be 720 plus at 6.5%, that's what you will qualify for at 720. Then your payment would be around $21.48 per month. Now, if your credit score is a 650, you may qualify for a little higher rate at 7.5%, and that is going to increase your mortgage or your monthly payment by $229 per month. Or here's the kicker, big picture, or you will be paying an extra $80,000 over 30 years. So the solution or my tip here is to check your credit score, pay down any credit balances, make sure that you keep your utilization under 30% and make all the payments on time because even a 20-point boost saves thousands. Now, if you're somebody that is maybe repairing your credit or maybe you are recovering from some financial challenges that you went through in the past, there are plenty of financial tools. Like some of them that come to mind are like Chime and also Borrow Bank. Those two organizations can help you get started building your credit back up. Now let's go over the third mistake here, and that is underestimating the real cost. And I think this is something that I personally wasn't paying attention until I started learning on my own. And these are the things that I'm sharing here with you, right? That's the whole point. Now, the problem here is only saving for the down payment and ignoring all the other costs that come with buying a house. So let's go over a very simple, quick scenario here. And let's say that your down payment is $60,000. Closing costs is about $12,000. Property taxes, $6,000. Maintenance that you got to do in the house, another $6,000. Maybe any immediate repairs that you got to do that you weren't expecting, another $5,000. Now you got utilities that are increasing because your house is bigger, so now that's going up, another $3,800 a month. Your moving expenses as well, another $3,000. Hey, moving is not cheap. I am someone who's moved a ton of times in my life. And then you also got insurance. The total in year one could be as much as $97,000, and that would be $37,000 that could be on top of your down payment. A conservative strategy that I personally look into is adding 30 to 40% to the down payment target to cover the full picture, right? So again, for us, this is the type of picture that we want to know whenever we are going into making such big financial decision like this one. Now, that brings us to the fourth mistake, and that is trying to time the market. Now, here's how this works. The problem is that waiting for the perfect moment, maybe you're waiting for lower interest rate, maybe you're waiting for better prices and ideal conditions before you actually pull the trigger and buy the house. But if you think about it, let's say that you spent a couple of years, 2022 and 2023, waiting for the rates to drop. During this time, home prices jumped 8 to 12% in many areas. So at the end of the day, if you're trying to time the market, you could lose more in price increases than saving from lower rates. And in my personal opinion, it's not worth it, right? So the truth is that you just can't time the housing market, right? So the solution here is focusing on what you can control, focusing on your savings, your credit score, your budget, your financial security, your debt to income ratio. And when you're financially ready and find a house that fits your budget, go ahead and pull the trigger. Certainly, that's what I would do. Then you can refinance later if rates drop, or you can rewind time to buy last year's prices. So that's something to keep in mind. All right, so the fifth mistake I want to share here with you is overextending your budget. And the problem here is that lenders many times will qualify you for the maximum you can qualify for lack of a better word, based on your income, but they don't really care about your financial security. They don't care about your lifestyle. And maxing out your budget means no investing, no vacations, no breathing room, and you'll just be house poor, right? So what does this mean? It means that when lenders approve you for, let's say, for instance, $500,000 based on your income, but what you can actually afford, what's safe for your lifestyle and goals, is probably less than $500,000. So I want to share here with you the 28% rule, which is well known in personal finance, where experts suggest total housing costs, that is including mortgage, taxes, insurance, HOA, any fees if that's applicable, should not exceed 28% of your gross monthly income. That is everything included, right? So you could aim for 25%. That's certainly something that we want to aim for, and that's what we're saying for a big down payment. So whether you go for 25 or 28, it doesn't matter. Set your own limit before you fall in love with the house. Don't let lenders or realtors push you higher than that, because they don't care. They're making the money off the top, and beyond that, anything else is your problem, right? So that's something that we need to be aware of. Now, mistake number 6 is skipping mortgage pre-approval. And this is something actually that somebody in our family brought this up to us and saying, hey, before you actually go buy a house, then you want to make sure that you are pre-approved. So this is going to help you in a couple of ways. And this is exactly how this works. Now, the reason getting pre-approved matters is because this is going to tell you how much you qualify for, what your interest rate will be, your monthly payment amount, of course, estimated, and any type of closing costs that you will need. Now, without all of this information, you are just guessing. You're throwing a dart in the dark, and you can waste time looking at houses that you can't afford, or you can lose out on pre-approved buyers and get blindsided by costs. So the tip here, the solution is very simple. Just go and get pre-approved before you seriously look at houses. It only takes a few hours and gives you the real clarity and confidence once you go into these deals. Another thing that it also helps you with is the sellers are going to take you more seriously as well, because you are ready to buy. You don't have to go through the whole process of getting pre-approved, and that's going to give you an edge once you go and negotiate for your house. All right, so mistake number 7 is not using a high yield savings account. And you'd be surprised how many people still don't know about these powerful savings tools. Now, if you are somebody that is keeping your down payment in a regular savings, earning less than 1%, or even worse in a checking account, then this is exactly for you. Because let's say that you saved up $60,000 over 3 years and you're earning 0.01%, which I've seen a lot, then you will be earning at the end of 3 years, 18 bucks, right? Wow. But if you use a high yield savings with the same $60,000 over 3 years at 4.5%, so that's almost $4,200 more by just putting your money in the right place. And the crazy thing about this, guys, is that anybody can open these high yield savings accounts. They're becoming more popular. So the goal is to allow everybody to get into this and start taking advantage of them. So the tip here is, of course, to just open a high yield savings account. It takes only 10 minutes and just start saving away, automate your savings. I'm going to leave my top recommendations in the description of this video. Now, some of you may be thinking, hey, Alex, that's a lot, man. Like all of this information, I am getting overwhelmed. I just want to buy a house. Do I really need all of this? Now, the truth is that, hey, these are just observations. These are shocking mistakes that I personally found. You don't have to do any of this. You can just save your $50,000, $10,000, $30,000 to buy a house and just hope that it works. But at the end of the day, as somebody, again, who came from financial difficulties, I don't want to rely on hope, right? I want to have a plan, and every single one of these mistakes can cost you money, security, or both. So the time you spend getting this upfront saves you from years of dealing with financial stress on the back end. So would you rather spend a couple of months preparing or a couple of years struggling? So remember that buying a house is not about hitting a number. It's about building financial security that lasts beyond closing date. That's certainly something that you gotta remember. Now, your action plan, what to do right now, just calculate your real savings target for your down payment, whether it is 30 to 40% for closing costs, plus your emergency fund from 3 to 6 months, and then just move it to a high yield savings account and then just start saving away. Then, of course, check your credit score, set your own budget ceiling, and of course, at the end of the day, get pre-approved before you start looking at houses. At the end of the day, the way I'm approaching this, guys, is I'm looking to buy a house and maintain and improve the quality of my family's life, my life, with savings, security, and peace of mind. So if you avoid these 7 mistakes, you'll build a foundation that supports your future instead of draining you. So with this being said, if you are ready to start opening your high yield savings account today, it only takes a couple of minutes, and you want to start taking advantage of these interest rates before they start going down, because they will go down in the next couple of months, next year or so, then make sure that you check the links in the description. They do support the channel and help me keep making these helpful videos for you. Now, with this being said, thank you for being here. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and let me know what kind of questions you have below.